Hello, everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, I need you to do something for me. The first thing is, would you please go in and like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast? Where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Put in the comment box below where you're tuning in from. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please do so at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy yet? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to TrueVinePublishingCompany.org, Amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. My guest for tonight, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw that she had released a new book, and under the caption read, "Sometimes I want to have a drink," and that caught me. So I looked at the title of the book, and the title of the book was Escaping the Bottle. And I thought that was very interesting. So I reached out to her. And we had a long conversation, and she told me her story, and I asked her would she be a guest on the Gail Estella Survival Podcast, and she said yes. So she's here with me tonight, Miss Janet L. Jacobs.
Hi, good evening. Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm well and hope the same for you.
I am doing well. I am so elated for you to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited as well.
So tell us about we're going to talk about your book.
Yes.
But I want you to tell the audience about the title of the book, Escaping the Bottle.
The title of the book, Escaping the Bottle, My Journey to Sobriety, came about, and I'm highlighting my journey from the last day I took a drink up until the first year anniversary. Now, this book was completed about 2 months ago, so now I'm at day 430 of sobriety.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, would you tell the audience, or will you take us on a journey during your active using or your addiction? Will you take us on a journey on Janet, who Janet was, and what led her to write this book, and what led her into alcoholism?
What led me on this journey to recover from alcoholism? I mean, when you're young and you're 12 and you're hanging out, you think everything is cute to try to drink or whatever. So, you go through your teenage years, and then you get a little older, and then you're social drinking. Then you become a parent, and then not so much then. But as you get older, and especially when the pandemic set in and we were all home and scared to leave our homes and things, alcohol's in the house, and what else are you doing? You're working from home, and you're just pretty terrified watching the news. You don't know what's going on. And so, you have your glass of wine after dinner, and then it turns into 2 glasses of wine after dinner, and that's fine. But then you start going through emotional things as far as relationships or anything that's going on in your mind. And, having that little extra half a glass takes the edge off, makes you feel good. Then it becomes a really deep habit. And then I had a relationship in my life that didn't sit well with me. It didn't bode well with me. And sometimes that causes you to drink more.
Mm-hmm.
It was in this incident, it was my mother, and she would drink, and then I would drink. We would drink together over the phone, and it just became volatile. And once it really started to not feel well for me, I had to decide that I was not going to be a part of her life. And so that painful decision was made on my part to cut her out of my life then. It doesn't mean I stopped drinking. I just cut her out of my life.
Let's stay right there. You had to make a decision to cut your mother out of your life.
Yes,
How hard was that? And you just said something so profound. You didn't stop drinking, you just cut her out.
I did.
So it's safe to say the drinking didn't come from your mother being in your life. Do you
It
think the drinking increased once you cut her out, having to deal with the fact that you cut her out of your life?
No, and
Okay.
I'll give a little background and explanation.
Okay.
I was not raised by my mother. I was
Okay.
raised by my father's family. And then I met my mother late in life. So I was well into drinking when I met her.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And then, us having the relationship that wasn't so great. She had her own life that she was dealing with, and I had mine. And I guess I wouldn't say I was drinking because she was drinking, because I was already drinking and she was
Mhm.
drinking. It was just how we handled each other. Let's just say
Yes.
that.
How you
And
communicated.
and
Yes.
how we communicated with each other,
Mm-hmm.
because we were
Mm-hmm.
always drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided that I couldn't do that anymore, as far as her treatment of me or our relationship, and don't get me wrong, I'm not here to bad talk my mother at all.
Yes.
It's because of her that I exist today.
Yes.
I just want to say that. But when I stopped having her in my life, I still had other issues within myself going on. So
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I increased my drinking because I stopped communicating with my mother. These are
Okay.
my own issues I had to deal with now. Instead of dealing with ours together, I had to deal with mine separately. And so the drinking continued. I wouldn't say as much, but then maybe year and a half went by, and I had gotten word on Thanksgiving that she was ill. I had an inkling that she was ill before, but then it was a lost discussion. It was no other communication about it. So on this particular Thanksgiving, I received word from distant relatives that she was very ill and they had put her in hospice care. So now I'm feeling some type of way because my mom tried to reach out to me previously to that, and I ignored it because I had cut her out of my life. So there's
Mm-hmm.
that to deal with, that I did not accept her call. And 2 days after the notification that she was in hospice, she passed away 2 days after Thanksgiving. Can I tell you, that cut me to my soul?
Yes. And that was what I was going to ask you. You ignored the calls. Then 2 days later, your mom passed.
Well, I had ignored her calls
Yeah.
previously, but two
Yes.
days after the notification that she was ill,
Yes.
she passed.
And then she passed.
She passed. And in that moment, the little girl in me, the
Yes.
teenage girl in me, the young
Mm-hmm.
wife in me, the young mother in me, everything just like closed in on me. And I had to deal with that. And I couldn't deal with it. Let's just say that. That's how the drinking became heavier.
The drinking became heavier. So let's talk about the little girl in us.
Yes.
The little girl, the teenager, the young adult. What happens to them as we become adults and we don't tend to them properly? What happens to them and what happens to us for neglecting them?
The little girl at first is in the corner. But then
Mm-hmm.
when these things happen, they start rising up in you.
Mm-hmm.
Always the little girl that wants to be acknowledged, the little girl
Yes.
that wants to be loved, the little girl that wants to be accepted. The teenager, the teenage young woman that's missing something in her life and searching for it in the wrong places.
Yes.
The young woman that's married young, making wrong decisions, leaving home too early because there's other things going on and you think you can go off on your own and live your life, and you didn't really, you weren't really taught different things and you haven't experienced life, and a lot of things you find out on your own. So all of that starts rising up in you and you just don't know what to do with it. They're all fighting for the attention, and they're all
At each stage, yeah, each stage, because the 11-year-old, the 12-year-old is like, hey, you haven't even dealt with me yet. You need to
Yes.
take care of me first. And maybe if you take care of me, the adolescent would be okay, or the
Yes.
teenager. Yes. Whew.
So I used alcohol as a coping mechanism, not to face what was inside of me, and surely not to face what was going on in the world in real time.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask this question, because you said that you were raised by your father.
My father's family.
Your father's family. Was your
Yes.
father there?
My father was in my life, but I was raised by his mother and his sisters and brothers. So my aunts and uncles and my father's mother raised me.
Okay. So how was that for you, being raised by, even though they were relatives, they weren't your mother and your father? How was that for you?
Well, you know what? In a sense, it was all that I had. I know they loved me. My grandmother, my aunt, even my father. My father was in my life. I didn't live in the same home as him, but he was in my
Okay.
life, and I loved them all immensely. But it's just always something, when you go to school and you go to church and you see your friends, they have one parent in the home, if not two parents in the home, and you're always looking. And then your cousins, they have their parents in the home, and I always felt like I was the odd person out, like I
Mhm.
didn't belong to anybody. And that messes with your self-esteem, your
Yes.
self-worth. And even
Mhm.
today, I'm not ashamed to say, sometimes it creeps back up on
It
you.
can. It can.
It
It
really
can.
does.
Mhm. It can. It can. So you go through the death of your mom and the feelings. Tell us about the feelings that you experienced after not communicating with your mom and then she dies.
I felt guilty because I chose myself in that moment, because it didn't make me feel good. I felt ashamed because I cut her off, even though it was for the better of me. I felt cheated because there were still answers that I needed from her that I know I will never get.
Whew.
I missed a sense of belonging. I miss not ever hearing that she wanted me.
Oh,
It's just a lot.
it's a lot.
And trying to raise a family of your own. I did not receive a lot of emotional security as a child.
Yes.
And I know people were there for me, and I know they love me. My grandmother took me in 1967. She was well into her 50s then, and brought home this little baby from the hospital. She took me. You understand? And that's a different generation. Let's
Yes.
just say that.
Yes.
Old school parenting and new school parenting is different. But she gave me everything she had, and I will always be indebted to her. Do you understand? But I wasn't as emotional to my children now. I have 4 children that are all grown now. And I can say that I wasn't an emotional mother.
Yes. And that's understandable.
I
That's
think it's
under.
because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I feel it's because I went through a lot of things in my life, and
Mhm.
I've always been in survival mode.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
there's something to be said about that.
So let me ask you this, because you said you missed the fact that your mother never had the opportunity to tell you that you belonged. So that would have been some type of validation for, do you think that would have been some type of validation for you to at least feel that she really did love me? That I really was wanted, even though you knew, you, like you said, your grandparents and your aunts and uncles, but it's still something about the yearning of the love from a mother or a father.
Exactly.
So being to know that you belong. How did that, I don't want to say change the trajectory, but set the pathway to your actions because you always wanted to know that you belong? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
It does make sense. I just needed that validation, that love. Whenever I would try to speak with her, what happened, I'll give a precursor, a little background. I did not meet my mother in person until I was 27 years old.
Okay.
So I was already married, separated, and had 2 children. And so that made a difference. And then
Yeah.
asking questions. And it was always, I did what was best for you and no other explanation. Like we couldn't even have a decent conversation without getting into an argument about it. And
Did
so
she
you
ever
learn to be
apologize?
I don't believe she felt she had anything to apologize. And I don't think she had anything to apologize for. I just wanted answers. But you
Yes.
know what? As I've gotten older, and especially now since she's passed, I've gone through a lot of things in life that she may have gone through in her life. So I had that understanding. So it wasn't like I didn't need an apology. I just
Okay.
wanted an answer to a couple of questions. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yes. So what I'm hearing you saying that you, as time went on, you were able to empathize with her.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that speaks volumes
It
because
does.
usually, I get down into myself and I get closed off and I don't want to address an issue. But I will say, even after her passing, I really had to think about it. And one of her sisters befriended me. I met maybe once or twice in my life, but we started to have deep conversations about my mother. And it really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
It really, and I grew quite fond of her. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, she passed last year.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
For both
But
of your losses.
she gave me insight into my mother. And
Mm-hmm.
I may never understand fully, but she helped bridge that gap for me.
Mm-hmm. I've heard the saying that before we judge someone,
Mm-hmm.
try walking in their shoes.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We
it's very applicable. But like I
mm-hmm.
said, had it not been for my aunt, her sister, that really poured into me and talked to me about it, and we had discussions, and we did not agree all the time on everything we were talking about. But she really did help me in that respect and give me an insight into my mother that I never had.
I'm glad. I'm glad for you. Yes. So, relationships. You said by this time that you were married and separated and you had 2 kids.
Yes.
And during our conversations, you mentioned that you had gone through a domestic abusive relationship as well.
Yes.
How was that for you? And I always like to ask my guests, did you ignore any of the signs before you entered the relationship? Were there any signs? And once the signs started happening or the abuse began, what state were you in that you stayed? Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Yes.
Now we're talking 19 years old.
Yes, you were young.
I didn't have a lot of life experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you don't know what to look for, or so I can't say that there were any signs beforehand because you don't know what you're looking for.
Okay.
You're at this age in your life that you think you're grown, first of all, because I was living in an apartment with my 2 cousins, so we all thought we were grown at that point. And so you're going off and you're going to live your life and be in the world. And I didn't know what to look for. I didn't know, let's just say I was raised old fashioned.
Okay.
And raised in the church.
Yes.
And so it was always, college wasn't spoken into my life. It was go to secretarial school, get married, have children. My friends were going off to college, but I was in secretarial school, getting married and having kids, and in that order. That's exactly what I
Mhm.
did. And so, we were both young. And strangely enough, his mother tried to warn me, but the way that she went about it, it made me think that she didn't like me at all and she just didn't want me to be with him. You understand? And
Yes.
so we continued and eventually got married and had children. And I will say the abuse started almost immediately.
Okay. Before you go into that, what did his mother say? How did she warn you?
She not I shouldn't say that, not so necessarily warned me. She just treated me badly.
Okay. Okay. Now, okay. I got what. Yeah, I understand what you're saying now.
Now,
So he could be a
and we're
product
still
of her
friends.
behaviors.
We're still friends to this day because she's the mother of my grandchildren. And we
Yes.
talk about it now. She goes,
Mhm.
I was just trying. I said, you just should have just said A, B, C, and D.
Yes. Yes.
So that's how it happened. But the abuse started almost immediately. It wasn't always physical,
Mhm.
more or less like a controlling type of
Yes.
thing.
Yes. Yes.
And then the physical started. And what made me stay in the beginning was because I had left home and I didn't want to have to go crawling back home. I was afraid of
Mhm.
what everyone was going to say. And that's that
Mhm.
stigma that you always think of what others are going to say first before you put yourself first.
Yes.
Granted, that's where all the self-worth and self-esteem comes into it, and then
Yes.
loving yourself and things like that. So you're constantly thinking about what the others are going to say. Oh, I failed, I'm coming back. It's like, oh my God. And I stayed because I felt like I'm married now and we're just going to have to work it out. And I
Yes.
know other people go through these things, and that's what it is. And you have to remember, I was 21 by that
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yes. And even though you were 21, it could be a person that's 31, 41,
Yes.
51, still have the exact same type of feelings
Yes.
that you have. So you said it wasn't always the physical, a lot of the control.
Yes.
So let's talk about the control, because I always like to say that by the time the physical happens, most people have experienced some type of control, isolation, verbal, sexual,
Yes.
financial, psychological. They've experienced one of those forms before the physical even happens. So talk about the control. How does that affect one's psyche or affect their excuse me, how does that affect one's self-esteem as well, just being controlled all the time?
Being controlled all the time. And, it's kind of funny because even growing up, I've always been kind of timid. And so to have someone speak loudly to me or come towards me suddenly, I'm always afraid. I'm always like nervous. And I don't like to make people mad and I don't like to feel like I'm in trouble. And so it was really bad. It started out as little things. We used to meet each other to come home from work on the train, and if I was 5 minutes late, then it was a problem. I had to be with somebody. It was all of that, and it was just difficult. It was
Yes.
just very difficult, and even I didn't contact my family to tell them that I thought I was in trouble again because I was afraid of, what they would say or what would happen, and that's the thing. I was cut off from my family and I allowed it to happen.
Mm-hmm. I
I
like
allowed,
the word you just used. You said aloud. That means to when you use the word aloud, that lets me know that you have your power back. Because once we look back and we realize a lot of things happen to us because we allowed it to happen.
I just, in that moment and at that time, it never crossed my mind that he may have been experiencing some of the things that I experienced and just didn't know how to express himself, because I'll never speak badly. I have children with him. I would never do
Of
that.
course. Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, like, maybe he just had issues learning how to express himself, just like I did. I couldn't speak up for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was my issue. And then his issue was he was a little bit too forthcoming.
Yes.
And so back in that time, we just didn't know how to handle each other.
Mm-hmm.
We'll say that.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good way to put it. At what point did you decide that you were tired and you walked away?
It took a while to get to that because the first child was born
Mm-hmm.
and then the second child was born. I have Irish twins. They're 11 and a half months apart.
Okay.
And part of me wanted to leave after the first child, and I was ready to make that move, and then found out the second was coming, and I felt like I can't go back to my family with one child carrying another, and I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I did everything I could to keep life the way that he wanted it to be, the way I needed it to be. And don't get me wrong, we had good times.
Yes.
We loved each other and had good times, but then there were bad times. And so the straw that broke the camel's back for me is when I started speaking up for myself. And when he saw that I was speaking up for myself, then he started using the children as a pawn to scare me and keep me in line. And if you're going to threaten my children, then that's a problem for me.
Yes. Were you drinking at this time?
I was, but it was socially. I wasn't like being drunk or inebriated or anything like that. It was more social. We'd go out to eat and have a drink or have a couple of drinks at home. So it wasn't to the point that I was using it as a coping mechanism because I had to stay lucid for the children.
For the children. I like that. Because
and I was still
and that's not everyone's story, because some people still drink and have children. Some people still abuse narcotics and have children. So that's good. That's not everyone's story. You decided to leave. What did your walking away look like?
My walking away was very scary because I didn't know what I was going back to. I knew I was going back to my family. It was very spur of the moment. It was just something that happened overnight. There was an incident, and I ended up packing one suitcase for me and a suitcase for the children because they were young, 1 and 2. And then my father, I'll always love him for this, sent someone to pick me up.
Yes.
And I walked away from my beautiful brownstone apartment.
I was going to, yes.
I walked away from my job on Park Avenue in Manhattan. I walked away and left everything and grabbed my babies and my clothes and ended up back on Long Island with my family.
There's a phrase, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, it doesn't matter what you're walking away from or what you're leaving behind.
Yeah, I walked up and we had a nice life.
Yes.
We had a nice life for a young couple with 2 children. He worked, I worked. We lived in a nice neighborhood. We had the children. We had friends and his family. My family was out on Long Island. We would go visit. So we had a nice life, except when it wasn't so nice.
When it wasn't so nice. Once you left, did you ever go back?
Actually, I stayed out by my family and we talked and invited him to come out and join us. I refused to go back away from my family, but that didn't last too long.
Mm-hmm. And you left the relationship. After that time, you left the relationship or you stayed away. So let's transition into who you're becoming now, the new Janet L. Jacobs that, had the courage to walk away with her 2 children, left everything behind, trusted God, may I say?
Yes, you may say.
and yourself. Mhm. So tell us about this new person. Who was she, and navigate us through that journey?
Well, I will say that I did have another relationship that resulted in two additional children. So this is why I became a mother of four children.
Mm-hmm.
And that relationship didn't go well, but it wasn't physical. I will say it was not a domestic violence situation at all. It just didn't work out. And so I ended up raising the children. And as best as I could, always a single mom. We experienced a lot of things. We moved a lot. We ended up in a shelter at one point. And then I had another relationship, and that ended up in a domestic violence situation. So I was able to get out of that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But who I am now, I'm remarried. And it's a beautiful relationship, not perfect. It's who we are. But as I'm older now, I've learned to accept him the way that he is. And he's learned to accept me. We respect one another. I love him immensely. He loves me. Do we like each other every day? No. But it's in reality, and it works for us.
Yeah.
I've learned through all of my experiences that we're allowed to have boundaries.
Talk about the boundaries in a relationship, in a marriage.
The boundaries. After we've discovered each other and we know who we are, there's things that he does that irks my complete nerves. And I know for sure that I am quite the handful for him.
Mm-hmm.
But we had to come together and agree to disagree. We didn't think we were going to last. We talked divorce year 1, year 3, year 5. And we really had to sit down with one another and get it all out of our system. And then we agreed that we were going to be together. And if at any point that it started to not feel so good, that we were going to sit down and have an honest discussion with each other and go our separate ways amicably.
Yes. I like that. I'm going to go back.
Okay.
You had the second child. You had the second two. So now
Yes.
you're a single mother of 4.
Yes.
Were you still drinking at this time? Because I want us to kind of lead into that, because I know you said something about when COVID came.
Mm-hmm.
So were you still just recreationally using alcohol at that time as well?
Yes, just
Okay.
recreational,
Okay.
more social, but we couldn't be too social because of COVID. But when the children were little, let's just say I really did not, unless I went out. I used to love to go to the Beacon Theater to see the Tyler Perry plays before they became movies. And so maybe once or twice a year, I would go with a group of girlfriends and we would hang out and go out to eat. That would be my drink. But as I, got older and we became almost empty nesters, we were very social with our friends. We like to entertain and we love to cook.
Mm-hmm.
You see, we love to entertain and have guests over. And so we would, socially drink.
Okay.
And then
I'm going to go back. Let me go back one moment and we're going to move forward.
Yes.
Because you said 1 relationship, 2 relationships, 3 relationships.
Yes.
How much time did you give yourself between each relationship?
I want to say I truly did not give myself time between the marriage and the second relationship. I think that came out of the unknown or just being alone or feeling like a failure. No, I'm not saying that I regret it. I don't, because I have 2 beautiful children.
Yes, of course.
Always. I have to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe I gave myself enough time. And then the other relationship I was in, we don't have children together. We just co-parented because he had children, I had children, and we were trying to just exist and raise the children. Okay. And really didn't think that through. I think it was born out of desperation, actually, because I was in a difficult situation financially, housing issues, things like that. So that was born out of desperation. and
Yes.
out of need and
Yeah.
out of wanting to survive again, trying to survive and make a way for the children.
Thank you for your honesty.
Yes.
Thank you for your honesty. How important is it that we give ourselves time between relationships?
Well, I believe that it's very important. Now, I didn't receive therapy after my marriage and the second relationship, no therapy. But that third relationship, that was also a domestic violence incident, I received therapy. I went to therapy 2 times a week. And it really helped me to discover who I was. And I really and truly started opening up. I
Yes.
wasn't so closed off. I have family members now that'll tell you, the kids and I would get missing. They come knock on the door. I wouldn't even open up the door for family.
Your boundaries.
Yes. I was just so, you know what it is? It's an issue of trust.
Yes.
Once you've been hurt and you go through so much in your life, the uncertainty of it all, you just don't trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I still have trust issues to this day, but I'm not as
Mm-hmm.
bad off as I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a matter of trust.
Thank you. Now let's take us into the COVID era. Excuse me. Take us into the COVID era when one drink became two drinks became three, or a half a glass here and there. Take us to that time. Take us back to that time.
Well, when that COVID era came around, it was very scary.
Mm-hmm.
You're home, you're scared to go out, everyone's wearing masks. I think 1,000 people started mask business. I have quite a few custom-made masks. Let's just say that. I have a whole collection of them, and I tried to support everybody. So I have quite a few.
A lot of people were out of work, so they had to find a way to supplement their
Yes,
income.
and I'm not mad at it at all. I'm mad I didn't start a business back during that era, but it's okay because I'm making up for it now. But you're just home and you're just dealing with things. And, like I said, that was right around the time my mom and I really started having not too good conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't feel good. And, she obviously would drink or had been drinking when she calls. And let me just say this. I drank because I wanted to drink. I drank because I couldn't cope with things. I cannot blame my mother for me drinking. Yes. I'm just saying the relationship that I had with her weighed heavily on my mind, and I did not have the ability to cope with it. That's why I drank.
I understand.
But us drinking, and we would drink on the phone together, and then, the conversation would become volatile and, all the crushing and carrying on and the hanging ups and stuff. And so that was a lot to deal with.
It's like being in an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and I'm sure on her end too,
mm-hmm.
But it was just a way of dealing with things, the stress of it all. And then, planning for the holidays. And then, if you have an argument with your spouse or things are not going well at the job, or, you had an unexpected expense come up. And it's just the way that you cope with things that is inside your body. You tense up and you don't know what to do. You don't know how to deal with it. So the extra half a glass or the extra shot or two will even you out,
Did your husband drink as well? Was your husband a drinker?
Socially.
So did he notice the increase in your drinking?
Not immediately.
Okay.
Well, you know what? He's pretty observant of me. So maybe he did. But I had a few incidences where I was ill and had to go to the emergency room. And he would accompany me. And the doctor would ask me, and obviously they take your blood, so they know if you're drinking.
Yes.
Are you drinking? How many drinks are you drinking? And I would answer,
What would you say?
one eye. Oh, I have a couple, but not too many. So behind me, my husband's like this behind me. The doctor. He's drinking, And so the advice was to cut it down and, really just try to look up other ways to keep myself together. Maybe they offer medication. I'm not a huge proponent of medication for anything. I really am not. And so they offered that, and things would get good for a while, be okay. And then there's another incident. I have to go back to the emergency room, and it's just, I was just like, I really think you need to take a look at this,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine, So fast forward a few years later, that's when I ended up in the hospital. I was home alone, ill. He was out of town. My son was out of town, and I was by myself. And I honestly thought I was going to die. That's how I felt. And to the point where I couldn't even drive. I had to take an Uber to the hospital.
Okay.
And that's how I ended up in the hospital and was told that I was alcohol dependent.
Mm.
I was offended.
Of course.
I was like, excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
You, ma'am, are an alcoholic.
Not me. I could stop drinking anytime I want to.
I said, who you talking to? Well, I said a few other terse words, but who you talking to? And he says, ma'am, I'm talking to you. I have your chart here, your livers, your kidneys,
yes.
gastritis, acid reflux, stomach ulcers, everything is failing on you. If you don't stop drinking, you're going to die.
How? Once you heard that word, die, did you stop? Did you immediately stop?
I had no choice but to immediately stop then because I was in the hospital.
Okay, did you start back?
Let me tell you something real funny though. I was in the hospital and they had a monitor on my bed. So every time I got up to go to the restroom, my bed would start beeping and they would run in the room because they thought somehow I had alcohol in the room with me.
And you know what? By you saying that just lets you know how serious addictions are. Because people find easy ways to get their drugs of choice.
I don't want anyone by all means to think this is funny. I'm just laughing at myself right now, not at the situation, because alcoholism is real.
Yes.
I'm just laughing at my own personal situation. And so they were testing my blood twice a day at the hospital. And so I was able to go home before Christmas. I begged to go home before Christmas. And everything was fine for a while. And I had the nerve to drink. Mm-hmm. And my husband caught me. That was a very serious discussion. Anger, everything. I was angry. I don't even know why I had the nerve to be angry. I was embarrassed because I got caught, myself and everything. Mm-hmm. And so we talked about it, and then I was good for a while, and then I started drinking again.
So for the audience, you know the condition of your organs. You and your husband had the conversation.
Yes.
You were good for a while, and you started again. Why? Can you answer that question?
I think it was stress. Mm-hmm. Just people would like to know, what do you have to be stressed about? You have a home, you have a husband, you have a job. You just go through a lot. You're stressed out. Anything can stress you out. Anything can be a trigger. And I can't even chalk it all up to stress. I just want to say that I was sick and I had an illness and I couldn't stop.
Yes. Yes.
Alcoholism is real.
Yes, It is a disease.
It's a
Addiction
disease.
is a disease.
And
So for people that are watching that feel that their loved ones can just, or they can just stop by sheer willpower. I can just stop. Now, God can deliver us from anything. But when we have a loved one and, we badger them, just stop, just stop, just stop. Most of the time, it doesn't work that way.
it doesn't. Some people can stop.
Mm-hmm.
I even stopped for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but every person is different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It affects people. All of our makeups are different. Our genes, our makeup, everything, our will, even our willpower, our mindset, everything is different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's according to the person. And families have great intentions, born out of desperation of the love that they have for their people.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They want, why can't you just stop?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand some people just can't.
Stop. So with that being said, I always like to use the word, we have to acknowledge that there's an issue.
Yes.
And once we acknowledge it, we can accept it if we choose to.
Mm-hmm.
And once we accept it, then we can make decisions. So where did your acknowledgement come in that you accepted it and you made the decision to not drink anymore?
Well, here's the funny thing.
Okay.
I got caught drinking again.
Okay.
Had a hard time, ran in from work, couldn't wait to get home from work. And I had a home office born out of COVID. So I had a home office in our own.
Mm-hmm.
Ran down that hallway, couldn't wait to get into my spot where my bottle was. I found it, took a big swig and felt so good, right? And all of a sudden, the hair on the back of my neck stood up and turned around, and there was my husband in the doorway. The look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm. Disappointment.
The big argument that ensued.
Mm-hmm. Did you see disappointment on his face?
I saw hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I saw disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
I saw disbelief.
Yes.
I saw anger.
Mm-hmm.
We argued. I grabbed my car keys. I ran from my car. He stood in front of my car. As God is my witness, had I had a few more swigs or had it been very inebriated, I probably would have ran him over to try to get away.
Mm-hmm.
That's honesty.
Yes.
And he just stood there, and he was on the phone with someone, and I didn't know at the time who he was on the phone with. And I got out the car, and we argued some more, and the neighbors were around, and he's telling me to shh the neighbors, and, I'm F the neighbors, F these people, I don't know them, you have no right to treat me this way, that type of thing. Really made a spectacle out of myself. There's still neighbors in the neighborhood that won't even look my way now.
It's okay.
I'm laughing at myself. I don't want the audience to ever think I'm just laughing at myself.
Mm-hmm.
But he did have one of my daughters on the phone, and I could hear it in her voice, the hurt and disappointment. And I ended up back in the house, and he looked me in my eye, and he said, I love you. He said, but something has to be done. He says, you're going to have to make a decision, or I'm going to have to make it for you. Either you go get help, go to rehab or something. And I didn't put this part in the book because, it's kind of private. I was basically given an ultimatum that I was going to have to leave the family if I didn't get help. Mm. And so it was an awkward silence in the house that night. And got up and came to work the next day and got on the computer and did some research and made a call.
Good for you.
The very next day. And I went and had my appointment and wholly didn't believe that I still had a problem. I only went so I can go home that night.
Yes. That's how baffling and cunning the disease of addiction is. And manipulative, because we become great manipulators.
I just had to do what I had to do to get
Yes.
back in the house every day. Okay.
Hmm.
And it took me, honestly, a little over 3 months to believe to say that I was an alcoholic and actually believed it.
Yes. You had to surrender.
I did.
Hmm.
I did.
Hmm. And how did that feel once you surrendered?
It was still awkward. It felt weird, but it was a relief.
Yes.
It was a relief that I finally had both feet in and had my head and my heart in it.
Oh, your head and your heart.
Mm-hmm. You have to be all in.
All in.
And you have to be in total agreement with each other
Mm-hmm.
to do it. And so I
Yes.
just kept it up, and it was very difficult. It's not easy. And I
Mm-hmm.
still struggle today. I still
Mm-hmm.
have
Mm-hmm.
struggles.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some of your struggles today?
It can be a song.
Yeah.
It can be just driving past one of those stores
Yes.
or
Mm-hmm.
just seeing someone socialize and having a good time. At first, it was the fear of missing out in the beginning, but you're not missing anything. It's all in how you carry yourself and how much you want it,
Yes.
how much you want to do the work, and it takes a lot because you not only are you trying to repair yourself, you've got to repair your family.
Yeah.
I was in the corner for a long time.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
It took me a long time to get out the corner,
Mm-hmm. So,
and
is
I,
it
and
safe
I
to
had
say?
and I had to accept that.
Is it safe to say that we have, in order to repair our families, we have to repair ourselves first?
Oh, wholeheartedly,
Mm-hmm. Now,
wholeheartedly.
how was your husband during this process, the early processes of your recovery?
He
Was
was
he
good
very
with it.
supportive?
He was
Mm-hmm.
very, very supportive. He's still supportive to this day. Very
Yes.
supportive. He may not have understood,
Yes.
okay, and I didn't get angry with him for every time he asked a question or
Mm-hmm.
every time, he felt a type of way about something. But he was very open to listening, you know, and learning as much as he could
Yes.
and how I was. I mean, because at one point he was like, "Oh my gosh, baby, you're doing so good. You don't have to go anymore." Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What I need families to understand is that this is a lifelong
Yes.
thing, lifelong
Mm-hmm.
commitment to healing. Healing is an everyday process. Every day you start the day over.
Mm-hmm. And I
So,
like to say every day you have to make a conscientious decision
yes, yes,
not to pick up your drug of choice.
that's it. And it could be anything. In my case, it's alcohol. It could be shopping. And, it could be intimacy. It could be drugs. It could be anything.
Pornography,
That's it. It could
food.
be anything, food, anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It can.
So it can be,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to be committed. Once you're committed to yourself, then you can be committed to others. But you can't half step it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
decide to do it. And do people make mistakes? Sure.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, is your head wrong? Is your heart wrong? Are you thinking the wrong things? Are you giving yourself anxiety? But, every day is a chance to get it right and do it again.
Mm-hmm. It is. It is something you said that sometimes you want to drink.
Yes.
Talk about that.
It's the stress.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell you, living sober is hard. When you're under the influence of something, then life is a breeze. You could just roll through it and you can take all the punches and everything. Living sober, you have to sit through everything.
You gotta feel your
You
feelings.
gotta feel your feelings, and you have nothing. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And I'll tell you one thing, my home office for me has not been the same. I do not go in there every day. I do not spend time in there. It just holds that place for me where I did all my hiding. And,
Yes.
that's where I was sick in the room. And I just had the discussion with my husband the other day that I want to renovate the room.
Yes.
So it's not the same. I'm going to renovate it so I could go back, because now, I'm a businesswoman now. And so I need my space back. And so we're going to renovate that room, and it's going to become a safe space for me again.
Yes. Tell the audience how much sobriety time you have. And then we're going to go into the fact that you are a businesswoman now.
Yes, I have 430 days of sobriety. That is 1 year, 2 months, and 4 days.
Yes, you said that earlier, so I'm glad you broke down the year part.
Yes.
How was it when you picked up that white? Are you a part of a 12-step program?
I'm part of a recovery program.
Okay. So did you pick up a a gold medallion for your?
I picked up a token. Yes.
How was that for you?
It was awkward because, again, like I said, when I first started going, I didn't think I had an issue. I was just going along with the program because that's what they did, and I didn't want to be thrown out of it. So I didn't want to be made a spectacle of. So I went along with the program, and as I said earlier, it really didn't start to sink in until about 3.5 months in.
Okay. So now you are accepting of the fact that you cannot drink.
Yes. I am afraid to drink. Yes. I feel that if I drink, I won't be able to stop.
Yes.
That's truth.
Yes. It's real.
It is real. And I've invented my own little concoctions of mocktails, what have you, what I like. And, and I don't have to have it all the time. But, if you're social, I always carry it with me. So I'll have it if I feel like I want to drink something and feel festive. This is what I'm drinking. It could be water, but sometimes I might have to pull it out.
Yes. How do you feel today about Janet? The sober Janet. And then we're going to go into the business part. But how do you feel about what you've accomplished thus far with just 1 year? 435 days, I think you said. How do you feel with just 1 year of sobriety? How do you feel about
30 days. And I feel great about myself. This has been a learning process. I've learned that I am such a great person because in my life, all I've done is take care of other people, whether it be a mom, a wife, a coworker, a neighbor, a friend. I've always tried to do the best for other people. And at one point, I didn't feel like I was worthy enough of anything good in life. So I've always neglected myself, so to speak. And so now that I am healthy and I am sober and I'm no longer wearing a mask and I'm learning to deal with the world, and I'm learning how to deal with me and accept how I feel and be okay with different things. I love myself. I love myself a lot. I'm starting to open up to people in relationships because I've always been closed off, and a lot of people perceive me to be standoffish or mean, if you will, or whatever. I'll meet you where you are. You treat me with kindness, you got my kindness, so to speak. So I'm opening up to that. I'm happy. I believe in myself. You couldn't have told me a year ago I was going to write a book.
Yes.
You would have never been able to tell me that. Now, I've been part of a writing process before. I participated in an anthology 5 years ago, but that was one chapter of my life. But you would not have been able to tell me that I was going to write a book on a solo project. and write about myself and put myself out there to the world.
So I hear that you're free.
I am free.
So tell us about the businesswoman, Janet.
Well, the businesswoman Janet is still handling her 9-to-5 job, and I'm still doing it great. But I'm opening up myself. I am a woman of a certain age, so I'm trying to prepare for my next life.
Yes.
And I'm starting to enjoy all of my hobbies. I'm a great home cook. Ask anybody who knows me, I can cook. And I love feeding people. I love to read. And now, of course, I'm writing and I do a few crafts here and there. But the book came about being sober and keeping my mind busy. I developed a love for crossword puzzles and different things like that. And I came across online a free 3-day class.
Mm-hmm.
And while I, was an alcoholic, I've always had trouble finishing things. I would start one thing and put it down, pick up another thing and put it down. I have a closet full of yarn, paint, you name it, it's in there. My husband wants to throw all my stashes out, but
No.
I'm going to do something with it. I promise. But I've always been known to not finish things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to honestly say this was a push for myself to do something. So got past the 3 days and I was intrigued. And the offer was made, publish a book. Excuse me? And I said yes. And I said yes, not knowing how I was going to do it. I didn't know how it was going to be paid for. I didn't know. I did it broke. I did it scared. I didn't know what I was talking about, what I was doing, but and I just jumped at it and I committed to it and wrote this book in 30 days.
Oh, that is awesome. So let us see a copy of your book.
This is it. This is my author's copy.
Escaping the Bottle.
Yes, my journey to sobriety. And
So tell us about the cover.
Oh my goodness. The cover, it's a dark, like purplish, greenish, like there's a bottle and you have to be in
shattering
the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the woman coming out of the bottle. I initially was going to use a photo of myself, but I decided I like this better. And then you can see the glass.
Yes.
Gold glass shard around her body coming up as she's breaking free.
Ooh. So looking at that, breaking free, the shard glass, It doesn't matter whether or not you're going to get cut, what's going to happen. I am coming out of this.
Yes.
And you came out.
I did, by the grace of God.
Yes.
I promise you.
So how can anyone that's watching, how can they purchase your book?
You can purchase my book. My ebook is available on Amazon. You can go to Amazon.com. You can search for Escaping the Bottle, and it's the first thing that comes up on Amazon. And I'm Janet L. Jacobs. You can purchase the ebook copy for immediate download. There's also a paperback available. But I have signed copies available through my website, www.janetljacobs.com. I sign them. I have a few welcome gifts, thank you gifts, and get it right out to you. I have a beautiful website. I also have an offer for you to join my email page. I'm going to start doing a lot of things. I'm hoping to get a newsletter out, the companion journal for Escaping the Bottle, the prayer journal. I'm working on that now. That will be available soon, and I'm just going to keep this going.
I love it. And you did a lot of this on your own.
Well, I had the help. I joined a self-publishing cohort group.
Mm-hmm.
And, they took us from start to finish, and the schedule was very rigid. But you know what? You need that discipline and you need that consistency in your life. And that's another pillar that helps me. Being consistent and being on a schedule. Like I do
Yeah.
some of the same things every day. And that helps with sobriety too, because you know what you got to do.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they provided that. And so if you would like more information on a cohort, just get in touch with me. I'm Janet L. Jacobs across all social media platforms. But I will shout out Victorious U Press.
Thank you. This has been a great, and congratulations on your book
Thank you
and
so
all the
much.
success that's
Thank
coming
you.
your way. Thank you. And you deserve it all.
Thank you so much. You've been so kind. You've been so
Thank
kind.
you. Thank you. Before we close, is there anything else that you would like to say?
I would just like to tell anyone, man, woman, or child, just believe in God and just pray and know that you can come out of any situation. God has great things for you, but you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to be willing to make a change. You have to be willing to want to live for yourself and be healthy for yourself. Because if you're not doing it for you, you certainly can't do it for anyone else. You cannot live up to your full potential if you don't do it for you. You can't claim every good thing in this world God has for you if you don't make the first steps to heal yourself first.
Heal yourself first. And my last question is, this is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast.
Yes,
Tell the
ma'am.
audience 3 things that has helped you to survive.
3 things that have helped me to survive. God is the number one. Family is number 2. And be willing to ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. I've always crippled myself by being ashamed and scared of what people were going to think, that I let them know that I needed help. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. That's strength because you know you need it.
Thank you. God, family, and a willingness to ask for help.